I'm Trevor. Welcome to Trevor and Jill Talk. Today we happen to have one of our favorite local columnists known as the modern day Irma Bombeck. Her real name is Claire Haft. We have so much fun with Claire. Hello,
We
Claire.
do, which
Hello.
people understand, but our other guest, we explained it to.
Our fabulous intern, Ariana Tupac-Yapunki. And we were kind of talking a little bit about, first of all, Ariana had never even heard of Irma Bombeck, and most of us, of course, grew up on her, thought she was hilarious. But yeah, so we're trying to like get what it is that Irma was doing, and Claire, what you do kind of like her.
Right. And Irma would have pink hair, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so where to start, really? The pink hair, my daughter, this is not my choice, everyone. This is not my choice. My daughter was at a party. That
what did you, and they thought that was funny.
Well, everywhere I go, I just got an implant, so I'm toothless with pink hair. But I was at the dentist, who's this 34-year-old guy who's like drilling into my bone, and I see him looking at my hair and kind of trying to put it together, and I was like, "Look, it wasn't my choice. My daughter did." But they were doing their hair, and she said it was, it wouldn't be permanent, and the problem is it's getting brighter as time goes on. It's not fading. And so we went back to the box, and the box says semi-permanent. Right. And I don't really understand what that means, semi-permanent.
It means when your hair grows out, you won't have it anymore.
That's unacceptable to me on every level. Guys, that's my mother-in-law. I'm so sorry. Hang on one second.
Okay.
And that's what your Irma Bombeck.
Do a lot of your friends have color in their hair, Ariana?
My friends have tried it out just for like the fun of it, just to see how it looks, and then they end up like liking it and wanting to stay like with it longer. So yeah, some of them do. Some of them like decide just to take it out after like 2 days, but they like to experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my mother-in-law, who's like hysterical. She's like, "You can get it out. I know exactly." I'm very worried about it.
Oh my God. You probably could, but do you want to? It's really fun. And
so what I was writing about is I've noticed there's this I'm about to turn 50 in how many hours? On July 28th, which is hard for me. It's pretty hard. And I know 50 is still young and all that, but it's a big marker. And I've noticed women my age and younger sort of have like not as much as this, but sometimes like a little wisp or a hint of, and I just feel like, what is that saying? And what are they trying to convey?
Have fun a little with it.
Maybe almost a little tattoo. I mean, I think it's trying to show like, doesn't matter. I'm still hip and wanting to express myself, and I don't have to conform to anyone's notion of what this age is, maybe, or
I feel like it also says like I have one of Gwyneth Paltrow's jade eggs in me right now.
I knew it. Didn't I say
is it? I know, which I don't, may I add.
Is jade egg working for you? That's actually the real question.
And is the candle on too?
Oh my God, yeah, the explosive candle. I went to high school with her, so I live.
My goodness.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting, but yeah, I think that pink hair and
we stumped.
I know. Ariana looks like, what?
Ariana, do you know who Gwyneth Paltrow is?
Oh, who's Gwyneth Paltrow?
Wait, do you know who Gwyneth Paltrow is? Seriously.
No, I don't. You guys are teaching me about stuff.
That
makes me so happy.
And that is really interesting. Do you know Goop? That's amazing.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I feel like you guys are giving me a whole variety of names that I'm going to check out.
She is a gorgeous actress who started this.
Not that gorgeous.
Okay, not that gorgeous, and not of an actress, whatever.
No, she is. I'm joking. serious issues.
Yeah, serious. But anyway, she started this company, and she's kind of known for some of her provocative
products.
Yeah,
she's had a vagina scented candle.
Yeah,
and a jade egg,
like hers,
apparently.
Oh. And then those are different faces than you thought she was going to make.
And the jade egg, the jade egg helps your Kegels.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
So you're supposed to hold the jade egg in.
Let it work for us.
It makes your Kegels work.
Mostly she sells like t-shirts and, home goods, but here and there she has
Stuff
something
that is provocative.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You
back to
guys were
Claire
really, really scaring Ariana right
I
now.
know, I'm afraid.
Ariana's
Don't-
another.
I'm getting open to a world I did not know of. Scented candled.
Trevor and Jill talking like
Yeah. But
Well,
I'm
it's
excited.
funny. You were saying, I'm fascinated by that. You were saying that you feel like the pandemic has kind of opened you to a new perspective on our generation.
Yes, because I was here with like my parents, like basically every single day, just getting to know them, getting to know what their struggles were. And I feel like I just understood little by little, like what they have to go through and what they had, like hardships and like also like struggles, and not even that like successes they have to go to just to be like who they are now. And I
Okay,
feel like,
so just by way of example, if I was 19 and I was asked that question during a pandemic with my parents, I'd be like, it's really hellish. They're driving me crazy. I don't care about their identity or who they are. I just want to get out of here. Like the fact that you're like, I don't know, the way you speak is just it's very lovely. And
thank you.
she's amazing. She's awesome. She's an awesome young woman, and we've learned that already. But I have to say, has anyone ever looked at it from that perspective? Like, maybe that'd be an amazing column, because everyone's like, what's it like to be home with your kids? What's it like to be home with your husband? What's it like for them? What's it like for them to be
That's true. What is it like
us?
for them too?
But it gives them an opportunity to dye your hair pink.
Right, that's true. That's true.
And so back to the pink, and it's semi-permanent, but it sounds like it's getting more permanent over time as it gets pinker.
yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that was part of the issue. As my daughter pointed out, Mom, your hair is fake color anyway, because I get highlights.
Thank
So
you.
we think maybe that I was like, thanks. But maybe the fact that I've had bleach in my hair makes it stronger. But it's funny. It could have happened right at the beginning of the pandemic. But just as things are opening up, I'm toothless with pink hair. You just gotta.
You just wear the mask.
Just wear the mask.
I had dental surgery. I had gum surgery last week. I was all puffy, and I'm like, I feel strong that I need to wear the mask still. So there is that.
That's hilarious. I should. Yeah.
At least you can make. We were saying like, okay, you wrote about how Rosa DeLaura, she has
We love
is
the
it purple or
purple
blue hair.
She changes, but it's mostly purple.
I remember Jane Green, she dyed her hair last year pink for most of the year too. And Trevor had some lavender hair.
And well, now I'm super platinum.
Before the pandemic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did lavender.
It was cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's so great that, I mean, I would do it. I think, well, who knows? This was not a conscious choice though. And it was sort of, it took me a little bit by surprise. And what's funny is when I see people noticing me, like at the grocery store or whatever, I go through what I assume they're thinking. So I become like a lunatic to strangers. I'm like, I know what you're thinking, but it's not, it was actually my daughter. I start getting into like their whole psychology.
I mean, come on, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not coming to like it, but we'll see. We'll see.
But this is kind of a perfect way to usher in a new decade, right? To have something happen that you wouldn't have expected, and it brings you to another colorful place, and you can start out with this kind of experience of fun.
Yeah, like turning 50 with no tooth and pink hair.
Oh, that'll be soon. You'll have that
awesome. It's funny because I have to get all my pictures taken, like my passport happens to be due and my driver's license, and it's just like,
not like this. They don't look at your teeth.
So when does the implant happen?
Okay, does everyone know? Ariana, do you know what an implant is?
A dental implant.
Mom had to get one, but I know I'm like pretty sure she did, but I'm not really sure though. What does it like do, or why do you have to get one?
Okay, so it's like the last option before, so it's kind of an old lady thing, I've noticed. My dad, well, I shouldn't say that. It's also if you there's other reasons you get it. You might want to edit that comment out. comes across as very ageist, but I feel like if you are old, you can't be ageist. So, but basically what an implant is they are drilling like a post into your bone because your tooth is shot. So
Right.
your tooth is gone, they have to pull and extract the whole tooth, which is the worst part because your tooth goes up so high.
Yeah.
And then they go into your you go into your bone.
PTSD from this episode.
And they attach essentially like a crown and then a crown on top of it. So it's a totally fake tooth. Everything about
It
it
looks real though.
Yeah.
and it looks real.
I look nice though.
The weirdest thing, I've got two of them, and this apparently is a thing. So I got one on one side in my 30s, and then exactly on the opposite side in my 50s.
Oh, I have
Apparently
one
there's
too.
like
Really?
complementarity in your mouth. If you lose one thing, now she does.
Not good news.
And now the other
Really not good news.
Now if I may say, and I don't, maybe I shouldn't jump ahead. There might be more to say about the hair article, but this might be why Connecticut is.
The other thing about implants that people should know is that they're really expensive. Like I had no idea. I mean, right before the 34-year-old surgeon, I was like, why didn't I go into dental work? I mean, this isn't, he's drilling. And I was like, wait, are there any other options after they told me that the whole thing start to finish is going to cost $10,000. And that's pretty average. That's not just a fancy Greenwich price, apparently, for the work that I needed done. And insurance really will only cover, $2,000 for my whole family. Anyway, long story short, it's a lot of money to get an implant.
You always see those commercials at night where people are getting like 14 implants. And I'm always like, did they mortgage their house? Like, how is that happening?
So I asked him about that and he said that they're scams. That's why it's on late night television.
I mean, I would imagine. So it's like, and you're going in one day and you're coming out with like all these teeth that, yeah.
Don't you? And you're sitting there at like 12 o'clock at night being like, why are they getting all these implants? And what is happening?
Oh my God. So this kind of is a good transition to, I mean, with all this fun, why was Connecticut just voted the third least fun state in the country?
This is a very sad
when
state.
all this fun stuff is happening. Do you agree that you think it?
The one positive we have is we have more marinas per capita as a state. Who knew? There we go.
Well, it doesn't depend on what your idea of fun is.
Mm-hmm.
Like for some people, buying hydrangeas and touching up their clapper, going a soul cycle is like the most fun, or
it's nightlife. We're kind of short on the nightlife here. What do you think, Claire?
I feel like, Jill, you just answered the question perfectly by suggesting that buying hydrangeas was fun because, a lot of people don't think buying hydrangeas are fun. And
what do they know?
There's yeah, exactly. What do they know? There's something, I mean, the fact that our state is called the Constitution state.
I know.
It's like, it doesn't yell fun at all.
Isn't that good?
We should rebrand it. What do you think, Ariana? Do your friends think Connecticut's fun? Or are they like, oh?
See, the thing is, my friends are like always love to have fun. Any single thing that you give them, they'll have fun with it. But then they just get into the idea like it gets too repetitive. Like here, it just feels like the same old thing you do. Like you wake up, you go get a bec, you go, then after that, hang out.
Make an egg and cheese.
Yeah, and then after that, and then after that, you hang and get dinner with your girlfriends, and then it just feels like the same thing. Then you just go back home. I don't know. I mean, we're just like missing something. Obviously, it's nice to have the LIS, but
I think we're missing a big city.
Yeah. Well, I think what we seem to be missing is a really big theme park. Like,
oh, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, that's why California and they have Legoland and
that's
Disneyland.
Is that what they're saying? Is
that's part of the criteria. I know.
I'm scared of every product, but
part of the criteria was like
theme parks,
maybe
Vegas or
Well,
we could have a theme park that you can get hydrangeas and implants.
You can count your
It'll say
steps, you can count your
hydrangea,
steps, right?
hydrangea and apostrophe implants. Like that'll be.
And you forgot the bacon, egg, and cheese, the Beck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? I didn't understand half of what you said. Beck.
I never knew that was. I
It's
never
like it's just a short term that we use. I don't know if you guys use also, obviously, like just a bacon, egg, and cheese. And then
Yes.
yeah, you can just say that at a deli or anything.
I didn't know.
My son uses that all the time.
A Beck?
Yeah.
To me. And I think that my kids have tried every Beck in the state,
Uh-huh.
looking for the best one.
Claire's face. She's like, huh?
I didn't even know that was a term. That's fascinating. Beck. I'm with my pink
We're
hair.
learning from each other.
Yeah, with my pink hair, I'm
We
just
are.
gonna drop
As-
that. Like
As we always should. I mean, really what you said before about the pandemic, I think that was really cool. And I had my kids home for about 6 weeks. And it was really interesting. It was really interesting for me to watch them work so hard all day. It was really interesting for them to watch me do dishes all day. Unload the dishwasher 85 times. But even having my husband here and like kind of listening to his, instead of just kind of knowing what he does vaguely, but like really listening to it, I do think it gave a lot of understanding. So that's cool.
record level of divorces.
Yeah.
Well, being a therapist, I saw some interesting things fall apart.
Right.
But this is interesting too. I did have a couple of clients that came in knowing they had time to really work on their relationship, and they did, and they're doing better. But it was a very intentional thing. They were like, we know that we're never going to have this amount of space and time to really apply ourselves. So the ones who kind of wanted to pull it together did.
That's great to hear. It's one of the things is it's impossible to find a counselor right now for marriage therapy and also for conflict resolution with your children.
There's an amazing one right here.
Well, I mean, apparently it's just really tough to find someone who has open slots. Like, if you have an open slot right now, Trevor, let me start.
We do it all, right?
We do it. We do.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, that's interesting to hear, but it's not that surprising because it feels like that's almost everything. I mean, my son, he came to Chicago this past weekend, met me there, but he had to work really hard. So I got him a hotel room. The restaurant was closed. And I said, isn't everything open? They're like, yeah, but we can't find anyone to work. Like we're hoping to open the hotel restaurant in the next month. And that's the other thing, like a lot of workers are either they've changed or they're like, nah.
They're quitting. This is an amazing moment. And even in the time that we're a decade older than Claire, that we've been in the workforce, it's always been the employers had the power, right? Employees kind of got, you get what you get and you shut up and blah, blah, blah. So today, all of a sudden, Ariana's generation and people are probably, I think any age at this point, have much more power to quit a job, get a better job, get better pay, ask for benefits, ask for schooling for themselves, for their children. And these companies who want to retain workers have to really step up because it costs a lot to get a new worker to replace the person who left. So there's a lot of quitting happening.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is that the benefits are so good right now. I mean, your benefits are just as good, if not better in some cases than working. Why work? I was recently in Cape Cod and none of the it was incredible. None of the restaurants could serve people because there weren't, enough servers. And I was with a staunch Republican and a very liberal Democrat. And the whole time we were just, yelling at each other about, what this means and the implications towards, I think it's great. I'm pretty much a socialist but it does impact our work, our ability to hire workers and keep them. It's like, it's like Scandinavia and Germany. It's hard.
I don't know if it will last to the same degree as it is right now. It might. I mean,
well, are you suggesting that people are home because they've just been home and they like it and they just don't want to work, or what do you think?
I think people who want to work, they want different terms. In fact, my brother, he runs a lot of TV stations. They have a ton of employees. And he said, it's been really hard, but the main thing is people don't want to commute. They've learned that the expense of commuting, the time they spend commuting, they might be freezing while they're commuting. standing on a platform or whatever. That's what he said, they don't really mind working really hard, being in an office. It's the commute that's upsetting a lot of people. And I don't mean the, Fairfield to Manhattan commute, which is hideous. Really hard. I mean, even anything, even a half hour, people have gotten like, well, that extra hour of my day, I work out now, or I do this. And that's where they are looking for some adjustments. Let me work home some days. I think that's what you'll see more, but that can't be if you're a waiter, it can only be for certain jobs. So
yeah, I think that's fascinating. Our whole sense of time has really shifted.
Yeah.
We have the fact that we can meet like this has also made our sense of, a friend of mine told me recently, I thought this was so interesting, that what we've just experienced in terms of our technological advances, because we were forced into it by the pandemic, and the way we're living has put us sort of 20 or 30 years in the future artificially. And his argument was that we wouldn't, in other words, that we wouldn't be using this technology if we were just going our gradual sort of progression, but the pandemic made us kind of reach for things that are sort of more down the line. And his argument, which I thought was so fascinating, is that our bodies, our biorhythms didn't have that time to adjust to the change. So we're kind of in this weird it's like we've gone through a time warp.
I think it's really interesting. And Ariana, I think your generation is going to be the one that really will benefit from these fast changes in this disruption of COVID, that most work will be in some sort of hybrid thing, and you'll get it, you'll have a chance to choose, from maybe a menu of options of how you're going to work, which would have been impossible.
Oh my goodness. 2 weeks off in the year we used to have, like 10 days off, and otherwise we were in that office in our suit.
No, yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with what Claire said about us being more advanced in technology, because I don't know, my parents both weren't born here, but they both learned a lot quicker and a lot faster technologies since they both work. And they had to like upgrade themselves because they learned a lot of things over the pandemic that they did not know of. So it really actually ended up helping them, though, for either the future or just for like common knowledge.
But you were tech support,
I was going to say, great that you were that's part of the whole thing.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's an interesting thought about this whole, I have our bodies cut up, or this has gone too fast. I might argue the opposite, which is now that we have time to work out, or maybe if you took what would have been commuting time and maybe took a walk or something, maybe your body's in better shape and you feel better and you're not quite as drained from all that movement, that I think you can work better and more productively when you're not, especially like from where we are, Fairfield County into New York City is like soul sucking. So I don't know. I'm hoping that it's
but then there's the argument, like for me to work at home is not as easy, right? I've got 3 kids who think it's hilarious to TikTok me while I'm doing laundry and trying to work. I mean, there is something really nice about putting a suit on or going into an office. This is a very lonely way to work, right? And I'm a writer, so that's sort of as lonely as it gets. And there's something about being surrounded by people that's really, I don't know, helpful, nice. When I worked at Random House, it was just such a great community. It was so fun to be around, other people. And yeah, the commute kind of sucked, but I was coming from Harlem to Columbus Circle, but I don't know, there was something about the tradition of going to work, getting coffee, getting a bec.
Bacon, egg, and cheese. Beck. It's a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Wait. What is it called? A bec?
A beck.
Okay.
Best becs, Connecticut's best becs.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have that.
Wasn't that a rock and roll?
Beck,
yes. Beck. I loved him. There's something about the ritual of it that I really miss and love, and just being a mom and not being in that anymore, is something that I don't know. I mean, I think, look, it's pluses and minuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I think it is going to be maybe more of a hybrid. And that's why I'm saying I do agree. Probably the commute is what bugs people, not actually sitting in the office laughing with their
being with their
coworkers or
friends.
having feedback or whatever it is that you gain from.
Do you guys like that it's opening up, or you kind of miss the?
So glad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy.
It's
You're happy.
definitely better for people who are
Party.
dating that it's opening up. And maybe it's even more bad.
I don't know.
Even better for people who are married. I don't know. Yes, except when I don't want it to be. Does that make sense? Like, yes, I like that I have the option, but sometimes I want to say, like, oh, I wish it was open, but gotta stay home and watch Netflix. Like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, and I find like I'm writing a book, and I can be so productive if I don't go out. And then I find myself sitting there with people that I love to be with, like people who I genuinely enjoy myself with, thinking like, I wonder how much writing I could get done instead of being here. It's bizarre because I've gotten so used to, not spending blocks of time out.
All right, now you have to tell us about the book you're writing.
Oh gosh, you know what? Actually, I can't, because it's I'm
Oh.
writing it with a partner, and it's
Okay.
like sort of under lock and key. But thank you for asking. And it's
Mystery
been
book.
it's been really fun. But I have definitely been trying to work from home, and it's yeah, it's a real challenge having your kids there. Yeah.
In and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So one of the things another article, because we're constantly talking about work and what's
Right.
going on out there, but there's this, and I didn't know this was a thing. This came out of the UK Bloomberg article about quite a few women of perimenopause, menopausal age leaving the workforce because their symptoms aren't being treated, or they just don't feel like they can be as productive, or they're just really experience extreme versions of menopause. So this has led us to have this conversation about, like, do we talk about it? Is this something you ever speak about in work? And maybe we need to start talking about it.
And I was thinking about this also, like, the thing about it is when you're going through bad symptoms, which I've had, thank God, hopefully are in the rear view window, but you just have days when you feel like you're not at the top of your game like you were, but you have to figure out like how to push through and sort of correct for that. So yeah, what support are companies giving, and how much of a thing should that be? Because those are women who have like great experience, amazing
years of great,
they're fabulous.
valuable
So like, should that be taking women out of the workforce?
Mm-hmm.
What do you
I
think?
think we should hand the conversation over to Ariana to speak most eloquently about perimenopause. And actually, it's fascinating because I have a daughter who's going through adolescence, and she's going through those changes right now. And I think hormonally, you're actually quite similar that to that change.
And you're there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, no, it's like, imagine if you're 12 years old and trying to work a 9-to-5 job, just emotionally, what that would look like. It's, I think it's similar for perimenopause, and perimenopause is the worst. I mean, that's the one, right? And menopause seems to be, I don't know, kind of even sailing, but perimenopause is a nightmare. It's just
up and down.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what's what. Is it that?
Exactly.
Well, I would ask most of our listeners, watchers, do they even know the difference? Because most people aren't even, we don't even have the information out there to understand what one thing is to the other. Because perimenopause is the fluctuation of your hormones as you get to menopause, which isn't described as until you've not had your period for a full 12 months. Then you're in menopause. That means you're basically done with your period. So there's usually starting in early to mid 40s, you're starting perimenopause as your hormones start to dip and they go up and down, and then they go down completely. And then menopause.
I
But
feel
a lot
like
of people don't know that.
No, I think it's good. I mean, I think perimenopause is a lot like semi-permanent. It's like,
yes.
What is it? Give me an answer. Where are we? Are we here? Are we here? Like, what is happening right now? It's very unsettling and hard. And these women in the UK, it's so funny. I worked for the BBC for years, and I feel like it always starts in the UK. Those UK women are just awesome because they're like, what the hell? I'm really moody right now.
support me.
I love that.
But one of the things is we have such, I think there's a sort of shame implicit in menopause or perimenopause that, that ageism and that we're becoming less relevant. And the truth of the matter is just the opposite, man. Like, we have so much knowledge and life experience, and we're such an asset to the working class, that the article went into how that age group is actually rising in employment, which I think is so fantastic for women over 50. But the fact that they're going through a major biological change needs to be recognized. I mean, maybe we should have like a perimenopause month.
Oh,
appreciation. I feel like we should have a PM.
At least a day on Instagram, like you have Sisters Day, and
have like perimenopause t-shirts, awareness. Like, it just, you kind of have to be out there with it and celebratory. And I think there's been so many writers about this, like Gail Sheehy, and there's cultures that celebrate it, but we really don't. We don't talk about it.
We were kind of ashamed of it. I remember a long time ago my mom saying, well, when you turn 40 you cut your hair. Like, all of a sudden you're not supposed to be sexy. You're kind of 40. She thought it was 40, that was kind of the end of your,
Jill, what's wrong with you?
I used to think that menopause meant pause from men, which means I didn't know when I was young.
But it does. It actually really does.
Maybe it's like pause for men. Yes. So
I feel like all my good friends, as they get older, this might be controversial, you might want to cut this part out, but I feel like a lot of my friends, women friends, as they get older, they become lesbians because they're like, I've had it with men. I love my women friends, and whether it's sexual or not, there's this great article in China.
Maybe I was right as a young girl, because that's what I thought it was.
Well, exactly. That's my point.
I was onto something.
There's this great article.
Ariana's face is like, I can't even.
Like, this is what it's like to be.
So have you done just a kind of anecdotal research on this? Do you have a bunch of friends who just said enough already on the guys?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that there was this article in China about this group of women. It was so great, that built their kind of dream house. Their 11 good friends, and in the countryside. Did you see this? They made this beautiful house, and they have decided that they're going to retire and live there. And their husbands are welcome to visit. And their kids as well. But they've just decided to their last 20 years of their life, they really want to be together and
Golden girls,
be with friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has to be like a sexual choice.
Yeah, I was about to say, was that sexual, or just like they just enjoyed each other's company better than?
I don't know. I mean, I also, I think women obviously enjoys men's company, but I think I've noticed that there's a shift as women get older that, and maybe it's connected to menopause. I mean, it's something pretty major we go through together.
Maybe it's a double entendre and we never knew.
Double entendre. Good word.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Say.
That's almost good as leotie. Do you know what leotie is?
No.
Leotie is like a good one. It's double negative. It's not that I'm not tired.
Oh. I'm learning so much from this broadcast. I hope people are appreciating it.
Wait, you touched on, there was a culture that celebrates women going through menopause. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go live there. I feel like, wow, it's, I feel like they're always, for some reason, they're always in sub-Sahara climates. Yeah, where, as you get older, you're more really appreciated in the group for your wisdom and strength. And when women go through menopause, they're really psyched. Like, there are all these celebratory traditional dances and customs. And I've heard a lot of people say that you actually feel a lot better in menopause. You're more kind of even keeled, and, a lot of people have mixed feelings about not menstruating.
I like it. I gotta tell you.
I was going to ask. I mean, I feel like, yeah.
There's one less thing to worry about,
It's a trade-off. I'll have to
Yeah.
go with it's a trade-off.
But I think back to that, we're gonna have to develop some dances and some
Mhm.
whole like days and t-shirts and a
Right, to
cultural
this.
shift to.
Well, have you seen, Mika Brzezinski doing and Forbes doing this whole 50 over 50 where they're
Oh, yeah.
celebrating? It's actually, I commend her and them.
Mhm.
They're doing all these things with women who are over 50, some up into their 90s, some
Mhm.
very well known, some you've never heard of, who are really doing amazing things career-wise, philanthropy-wise, etc. But it's sort of like that, and a lot of them did nothing until they were in their 50s related to the success that they're having now. So it's pretty cool.
That's
So
awesome.
I think we're seeing more and more of that.
Ariana, what do you think of women over their 50s? Be totally honest.
My mom is
Go.
over 50. She just actually turned 52. She doesn't mind about her age. She loves it. She just turned 52. I commend women who are over 50, whatever they do. I don't really think the age should matter though. I feel like it's what you do in your life more so
Yeah.
during that time.
Wow, you guys, good hire. Ariana really is
It's
got
amazing.
it going on. Do you find that people are ageist at all? Like there's a lot of complaints that a lot of my friends, I don't notice it as much, but that, there's an ageism bias.
What do you mean for like my age? Like,
right. Okay. So like particularly right now in this area of kind of, I've just been told as a white person, I'm not allowed to use the word woke, but in this kind of new awareness that we're living in, that in particular, our generation is pretty clueless and that we don't have the language, especially with gender and that do you notice, just by way of example, my brother recently was working with a client who said he had just had a baby girl and his mother had come to visit and she said, I'm just so excited that we have a girl in the family and she's so beautiful. And the son was telling my brother, like, can you believe, like, I told her to leave our house.
Horrible thing to say.
Yes. And my brother was like, well, I don't see the problem. And, it's kind of like this cluelessness that we don't even see what we're doing wrong.
yeah, I feel like I know what you mean. During my age, I feel like before the pandemic, people, tripped up, weren't really as informed as they should have been with certain topics. But slowly but surely they're starting to learn nowadays. I feel like sometimes some of my friends are either uninterested or some are like very dedicated towards that path, like as they want to learn more. Like they want to know your pronouns, they want to learn what for them is like offensive and what for them is like their I guess beliefs, and they want it to be shown through like I guess their social media, just the way they come across and everything, so on.
Do you find that like if a over like an older person screws up that you give them a little bit more leeway, or you find
I feel like they should be
Or
more
eye roll.
informed. I feel like they should be more informed. Yeah, I guess age does have a thing, just because when you get older, I learned a little more. I was a little more self-aware and like careful with what I say, especially since like I am getting older. I feel like age does particularly pertain like I guess a big aspect in like what you should know and what you should be aware of.
It's really been a challenge for, especially again, I'm going to put us, we're 1 decade older than Claire, that our age group and above is really, they're just overwhelmed by cisgender, the whole
Right.
woke thing just goes for a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody, I'm making a big generalization here, but it's a real challenge, and to get people to slow down and go, can you take it in? And in fact, last week we were talking about heteronormative, just the way our entire culture is constructed, which I hadn't really thought about until I read this article. So it's kind of work to kind of keep up on the changes, right?
I mean, I think there's still stuff that our kids could roll their eyes at, and we read a lot, we look at a lot, but we're coming from a little bit of a different, starting from a little bit of a different perspective. But I think that's always been true. I mean, didn't we roll our eyes at our parents?
Yes. But Claire,
they didn't know things, or they weren't cool about things.
One of the things though that like you touched on in the article that we just love so much about the semi-permanent pink hair, it was just like how even as a white woman living in Greenwich can we even start having a conversation, because it's just there's so many pitfalls and places you can screw up.
No, I've been
in the article.
Yeah, you feel like
are you gonna get
that, feedback that you're not being quite maybe where you should be.
Yeah, they're actually about to run an article that I wrote about this that I have literally written 26 times. I've rewritten it because I'm trying to address the woke wars in the school system and what's going on. I went to Spence, which is a school on the Upper East Side, and there's a lot of brouhaha right there about pulling kids out of school because it's too politically correct, both with gender, but also racism. And it's, there's a lot of white shame. And then I sit down with Black friends and I am just amazed at the things that I don't even see implicit in our culture. And then I go back and rewrite the article again and think, how can I even have a voice here? And, whenever you ask yourself, how can I have a voice here? You got to stop and think through that one, right? Because I think everyone needs to silence yourself is hard. I think this whole process of waking up is about us being willing to say, wow, we really screwed up in the past. Let's look at things differently, but not being shamed. Like that's going to get you nowhere. You know what I mean?
It's a really hard thing to step away from and make room for, and kind of dropping guilt and shame and just going, I don't know. And I really need to learn. You may not want to teach me at this moment, but I am out there doing my research. I'm trying to figure it out. If you help me in my growth, my journey, whatever you want to call it, I would really appreciate it because I need to learn and I didn't understand or see prior to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's a big issue. It's really, really, and there's so much anger in particular towards Karens or white moms that is just really hard to.
Name, and she's so not a Karen, and this drives me nuts. She's whatever that's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's
it all drives me nuts.
Have you guys heard of is it Zoe or
no,
Mariana? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Zoe?
Yes.
What is it? Ariana?
Zoe? Sorry. Oh my God.
I think it's Zoe.
No. Sorry. I do not know of Zoe, actually.
Yeah. I think it's Ziwe. She runs a show that was picked up by, I think, Showtime. It was originally on YouTube. But she hosted a Karen support group that got, which was a kind of a farce, but I this article, I can't tell you. I mean, I've rewritten it so many times and it's been like my albatross, and should I publish it? Should I not? There was a magazine that was going to pick it up and I went back and forth, and my publishers, Hearst, are going crazy because I keep sending in rewrites and they're like, just tell us what you want to say. And
but that's kind of the whole point of it. The fact that you're doing the rewrite means you're prepared not to say anything that might bug somebody, but that really shouldn't be the point. The point should be your heart is open, you're trying, you look at people as all equal, and what now? Like, how do we move forward?
Well, I think the interesting question is, do I look at people equal? Do I really? Like, I say I do, and I think I do, but for example, my friend was talking about Black Awareness Month in school, and she was like, how about teaching kids that history was written predominantly by white people, and that a month allocated to Black history. And then suddenly I was like, what the hell are we thinking? Black History Month? That's just absurd.
Everybody history all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, I hadn't, and the Tulsa massacres are a great example as well. I was taught they were Tulsa riots, right? I was taught that it was a two-sided battle.
Did we not learn that?
I know.
It is unbelievable.
Other bizarre, disgusting, morbid factoid, but George Washington, I remember my mother saying, his teeth were fake and they were wooden.
No implants.
George Washington's teeth were actually teeth taken from slaves.
No, they were not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's all. I can't even. Oh,
yeah.
Ugh, that's terrible. I heard they were wooden too.
Yeah. But think of all of the history that we've been taught that whitewashed so much evil, pain, horrible, terrible things that happen. And even like I'm like cheek by jowl with the Greenwich Historical Society, and just this I think this past semester, they had a group of kids come and do some research on, there were slaves that were kept in above the kitchen area in that house. And I didn't know that. Like, I don't think of Greenwich as being a place where people own slaves, but right there.
I think every place does
Every place,
originally,
yeah,
right?
Sam
Like
Adams,
early,
John Adams, they
yeah.
owned slaves.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, I'd like to think, oh, that happened down south and it was, wealthy white slave owners that were participated. No, it was right up here, right around us.
Yep.
So, but again, it's this process of learning, being open, and to your point, having the courage to have the voice and to wade into the conversation and possibly make a mistake, but say, okay, good, that just helped me out. I just learned something new.
Totally. And that's basically what my friend's point was. She was like, look, I'm sorry that you find it shocking, Black History Month, but like, I'm Black. Like, I've lived with this stuff. It's uncomfortable, but like, we've dealt with it and now we're trying to help, move forward. And yes, there's a lot of anger. I'm really sorry that you're uncomfortable with that. But, George Washington had a Black man's teeth put in his mouth. I mean, it's just, and her point ultimately was like, why can't America be great and flawed at the same time? Like, why does the fact that this dark portal in American history have to destroy a sense of patriotism? Like, it's just, these are things that coexist, and it's okay to acknowledge them without such anger or, polarization, or it's super complicated. Look, I don't know the answer, and I'm very conscious of being a white person. When George Floyd happened, the idea that I would ever think the police would do anything that was, problematic physically to me has never even occurred to me, and they're my Black friends. I have a friend that I grew up with her because she was like a little sister through a program in Harlem. And she was here last weekend, actually. And she's very, she's LaQuisha. She's very, she uses the N-word with her kids.
Oh my gosh.
my kids were like, Mom! And she's just like, what's the problem here? Relax. And she has, her point with the police was like, the fact that you think policemen are hard on Black people, if you find that shocking, like, what the hell, wake up. It's just offensive that you wouldn't even, she was annoyed by the whole George Floyd thing, because she was like, hello, I'm a Black woman living in New York City. I grew up with my mom in Rikers. That police bias is, obviously, yeah.
Well, I am really glad that you wrote that article. I look forward to reading it, and I'll read it
and everything else that you write.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. It's tomorrow, so if I'm strung up somewhere in Greenwich, come.
No, you're gonna.
It's not worth writing if there's not some.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Well, my husband.
How else do we move things forward? You're not going to have everybody who's willing to go there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I really appreciate your saying that. That means a lot. It's hard to go out on a limb nowadays. There's a lot of downside. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
No, there's so much opportunity for people to blow back on you. Once upon a time, we wouldn't have had Twitter or Facebook and people, coming out being trolls, right? So just know that you're sticking to your value system and you're on the right side of history. And we appreciate you. If you get any blowback, call us. We'll give you some therapy.
Call her.
Well, thank you.
Awesome, everybody. I learned about becs, and I learned so much today. And it was great getting everyone's perspective. Yeah, and write the article about kids, how they viewed their parents all this time. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, Ariana, you want to write that with me?
I'm more than willing to, actually.
That's cool. That would be really awesome. So
I would love
I'm
that.
nearby, right here in Darien. So give me a call.
So thank you, everyone. This was a great episode for us. It'll be on our podcast. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube and our website, all kinds of places. Everyone can watch this. And thank you so much, Claire Haft, and check her out, the Greenwich Time, and probably lots of other places. And Ariana, future columnist.
But we love the pink hair and we think it should be permanent.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
I love it. It's a little
you.
fun. It's a little out there. You're 50, may as well like shake it up.
That's true. Like just go for it, right?
Why not now, if ever, right?
All right. Best everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.